I'd like to welcome each one of you for joining this session. I'm really grateful to you for coming in because it's a weekday, Wednesday morning. You could have been doing so many other things, and yet you're here for this session. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you very much, Anand, Sachin, Renuka, Richa, Mamta, Amruta, Maya, Pallavi, Sampada, and all the others who have joined in. Let me assure you that this session is going to be worth your time. The next 60 minutes is going to be a very powerful session. And also what I would say is that please pay complete attention during this session, because there could be something that you might pick from this session which could change the trajectory of your workplace as well as your work. Okay, so pay complete attention, make a lot of notes, and ask me questions at the end. I'm going to be taking questions at the end. And very importantly, I have a gift for you. I have a gift for you at the end, and I'm going to be revealing that. But before we go any further, I'd like to tell you a story. So this was the year 1991, and I was in a small town. That's my hometown. It's Miraz, and it's in the southern part of Maharashtra. And it was a typical summer day, and I had gone for a swim, and an accident happened, and I got a cut, about 1.5 inch cut in my on my shoulder. It was a deep cut, and I was bleeding profusely. My friends, they all panicked because we were young guys. I just completed my 11th standard, getting into 12th, and they took me to a railway hospital. I've been brought up in a railway colony, so they took me to a railway hospital. And over there was no doctor. The doctor was on leave, or there was no doctor recruited. I don't know what the situation was. I don't remember much. So the compounder was there, and he put me on a table, and he just told my friends to go away. They went outside the room, and he told me that isko stitch karna padega. This needs to be stitched. So I said okay, and then he said, but there's a problem. अपने पास anesthesia nahi hai. Okay, now I know this sounds stupid, but at that point I didn't realize what this really meant. And I said, okay, whatever. He said, are you sure? I said, yeah. And he stitched me. I got 4 stitches that day, and I can very confidently and safely confirm to you that that has been the most painful, physically the most painful experience of my life, and I hope it'll remain that way. So I screamed like anything. I cried, I yelled, I howled, but I went through that process. I went home, dressing वगैरह कर दिया. I went home, and that night, I was just sitting watching TV. Some of you can probably relate to this. I was watching, a program called as The World This Week. Pranay Roy's, people from my generation, you can relate to this. I was watching Pranay Roy's program, and there's something very interesting was going on in that program. Why am I talking about this today? How is this relevant to the session that we are having today? I'm going to be revealing it to you in a short while from now. So hold on to the suspense. Let's get on to the presentation directly. I have a PPT for you. I promise you, I'm going to tell you how the story ended and why it is relevant for you, relevant right now. Okay. So we are here to learn about automation, how to say goodbye to dumb Excel work, and how to say hello to a more profitable and productive human capital and workforce. Okay, but before we go any further, you need to know who you are listening to, right? So my name is Sudhindra Haribhat, short name is Sudhi, and this is how I look for those of you who haven't seen me or met me before. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources at Automation Edge. I have 27 years of industry experience, most of it in IT, and I'm a marathon runner by hobby. And you know what I'm most passionate about? Excel sheets. Okay, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you should be getting rid of Excel sheets today. What we are going to cover in today's session is primarily 3 points. First is, what does automation mean in the HR world? Okay, we are all people from HR. So what does it mean for the HR world? I'm going to give you a demo. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm actually going to show it to you in action. It's a video. It's a crisp video, short one, but it'll land the concept very powerfully. And I'm not just going to leave it at that. After the demo, I'm also going to share with you the action steps, how you can benefit from this and how you can implement it in your own organization. So that is what we are going to be covering. Uh, Next, I would like to talk about Automation Edge. So Automation Edge has been in existence for 6 years now. And we have over 250 global customers. We have partners all across the world, 20 plus. And we automate live business processes for HR, for all the other core businesses. We've done for over 3,000 processes so far. And for one of our customers, in fact, that is the single largest customer, we have developed what is called as bots. Okay, robots. Bot is short for robots. Okay, we have developed over 900 bots. So in a sense, we know this game, and we are a niche player in Gartner's Magic Quadrant and also a major contender in Everest Group's Peak Metrics for RPA 2020. Zones has certified us as a leader. We've been a featured vendor on Gartner, and we are ISO 27001, HIPAA, and GDPR certified as well. Okay, and these are some of our customers. You will see the who's who across the world in this list. And some of you may find your own logos here. If you do, that's wonderful. If you don't, then it can mean two things. First is we probably didn't include it here. You're already a customer, and sorry about that. And if you're not, then maybe it's time to look at us. Okay. Now let's get into the crux of the matter. What does Automation Edge mean in the real? What does automation mean in the real world? See, Automation Edge, like I said, has been in existence for 6 years, and we have been automating all kinds of processes for over 250 of our customers. To do all of this, we have a huge team. Okay, we have 550 employees across India, Middle East, United States, Canada, and Latin America. And people from HR, all of you can relate to this, is what this means is a lot of work. What this means is a lot of people, a lot of work, and a lot of chaos. Okay, so over time, what we needed to do, there was no option, is to optimize our time and resources. Okay, we don't want our people to be spending too much time doing mundane stuff. Okay, we want our people, our HR team, to be working only on the brainy tasks. We don't want them to work on repetitive ones. We want them to spend less and less time on Excel sheets. Now, that is a problem. I'm sure most of you can relate to this. In fact, let me ask the question. How many of you think that your teams spend too much time doing Excel and other mundane tasks rather than interacting with people? Just type me in the chat box if you think that that is the case. Just type me in the chat box if that is the case, or give me a thumbs up. Absolutely. So many of you, right? What you would rather want is that your people should be spending more face-to-face time with our HR's internal HR's clients. That is all the other employees in the organization, right? We should be addressing their concerns. We should even be anticipating the problems and looking for new ways to serve our people. We don't want to do all of this, regular stuff or spend all our energies doing this regular stuff. In fact, let me tell you that, when we started off, there was a lot of paperwork. There was a lot of paperwork that we had. How many of you can relate to this? Just type I do in the chat box that, in the early days, HR meant a lot of paperwork. I mean, physical copy. Just type I do in the chat box if you can relate to this. So there were, you can remember those documents, collecting all those documents and keeping them in files and storing them in cabinets and then struggling to retrieve them. Okay, so all of us can relate to that, right? The thing is, at that time, it was a very risky process because documents could get lost, or if something happens to the place itself and it burns down, the risk is even worse. The process is very painful and it is also time consuming. Okay, so this was when during the days of physical documents. COVID happened, definitely not a nice thing, but because of that, the movement towards digital was speeded up. we also went completely digital. We started collecting all our documents digitally, and we started maintaining each and every record in our computer-based systems, mostly Excel sheets. So what happened therefore is that any kind of calculations, counting, archiving, retrieving, whatever we needed to do happened with Excel sheets. Okay. Now, all this was fine until we were at a strength of about 70 to 80. So with 70 to 80 people, we could manage this. Okay. With just a few people, joining or leaving us. So there was not so much action in HR, but things started to change when our headcount crossed 100. And after 200, it just became even worse because our team couldn't cope. They were getting buried in operational work, in repetitive tasks. There was so much to do. There was too much effort being spent, and there were many mistakes that were happening. And what it also resulted in is, a lot of blame game. People's morale was dipping because of the stress and the repetitiveness. And the worst part was that we were less and less about resources. We were more and more about operations. And this we really needed to change. Okay. And that is where automation came into the picture. So what we started is we in fact started with some very small steps. What we did is that we identified certain processes in our day-to-day work, which are very simple, very boring, and repetitive. And we thought that these need to be automated. And this is where our technology team stepped in, and we built a robot. Okay, a robot, which is a software program. A robot is a software program. We built a software program which automated the onboarding process for us. Now, what did onboarding include? There were about 5 things which needed to be done. So first is a user needed to be created in the system. The second is an Office 365 account had to be created. Then, in some cases, a Salesforce account had to be created. For developers, a GitHub account had to be created. And an employee, fifth one is an employee each employee had to be sent an email with all their credentials. So these were 5 steps that we had in our onboarding process. As I said, creating a user account, creating an Office 365 account, when relevant, create a Salesforce account, when relevant again for developers, create a GitHub account, and fifth one, send an email to all the employees along with their credentials. Sorry, not all the employees, to the joining employee. This was our onboarding process. So this was automated completely. Suddenly, it reduced a lot of effort for us. Okay, and we didn't stop from there. We automated many processes. We did that for our attendance. We did that for our timesheets. Then also some of the other departments like payroll, they also took on a lot of processes which could be automated. So we did all of that. In fact, what I'm going to do just now is demonstrate to you one such process. I have a video which I'm going to show you, and this will tell you how automation works. Okay, now the process that I've taken on is offboarding. Okay, offboarding is when a person has to be is leaving the organization. Not a pleasant process, but still it is extremely powerful. And once I've shown the demo, I will also explain to you why it was so useful. In fact, we went ahead and implemented it for one of our customers, the offboarding process. Let me bring up the video for you. Just give me a moment. It's a video, let me tell you. Okay, so this is a portal of one of our customers. We do have their permission to share it publicly. So this is the offboarding process. So you go into the human resources section. And as I said, this is the video that is running. And what we are going to be doing now is offboarding a person. Okay. So Liam Shea is the requester, and so Davis Welsh is the person who needs to be offboarded. So Liam has is submitting a request He just enters the email ID and submits a request for Davis Welsh to be offboarded. The request has been submitted. Then it goes to his boss, which is Seth Potter. So Seth Potter is the one who is going to be approving this request. So Seth has approved the request, as you can see. And now the magic begins, because the employee offboarding process has been initiated. Has also been approved. Now this, as you can see, here is the list of requests. So the first one at the top of the list, 161978. This is a new request which has been created. Now you can go and when you go and check the people in Active Directory, that is the the list of all the employees in the system, you'll see that there is no name. So Davis no longer exists in the system. All this has been happening automatically. Okay, earlier it had to be done manually, but it happens automatically. So as you can see, the requests, just by refreshing, you can see that the execution is started. The status is also changed from initiated. Now it is completed. Okay, and what you can see is that in the background, the bot has done all of these things. Okay, so cancel the health insurance policy, remove the shared folder access for the user, and then also deleted the user's Office 365 account, deleted the user's account from Active Directory. All these basic steps, all these steps have been completed, the necessary steps. And now when you go and check the log, you will see that the offboarding has been complete. A couple of more things to check. So you can see it again, you're here. The execution is completed. You get a message like this, okay, where what are all the different activities that are done. Now you can see here, even the insurance has been cancelled for that particular employee. And I'm also going to show you the mailbox. Okay. Now you can see this mail. So in this particular case, I mean, not a nice thing, but in this particular demo, the person Davis has been terminated from the organization, and this is the mail that has gone to Davis automatically sent by the bot. And this is also the mail that confirms what are all the different steps that have been taken. This is again generated by the system. So as you can see, email ID, username, all the details are sent to the user by email. This, friends, is a very simple example of how the bot can do work, repetitive work, and it is magical. See, why I picked this particular process is that at times, while it is very unfortunate, ugly, unpleasant, it can be very, disastrous for someone, but still offboarding is a process that we have to do. And many times if there is a situation where the offboarding has to be done immediately, then a bot like this will work. Because even if one step is missed somewhere, it will not be good at all. So a bot like this, I would always wish should be rarely used. But when you have this bot, the process can be completed flawlessly, very quickly like this. And of course, there are many other bots where you can create them and you can use them more often. So this is the magic of having a bot to do all the work for you. Okay. And I'll come back to my stitches story. You remember the story that I began with, that I went home that night and I was watching NDTV's The World This Week. Pranay Roy was on screen. And that night he was talking about robots. Okay, he was talking about how the Japanese were making so much progress and robots were being built. Of course, at that time he was talking about robots, physical robots, the metallic ones who walk around and all and do tasks which experts can do. And I thought, at that point, little me, if only the railway hospital had a robot, I wouldn't have to go through an unprofessional compounder to get my stitches done. The robot could probably replicate what the doctor had done, and my stitching could have been, painless or least painful. This was just a little me thinking about robots at this point in time. So when I was asked to conduct this session, I just tried to reminisce when was the first time I got exposed to robots, when was the first time I was thinking about robots, and that this is the story that came to mind. Okay. In fact, the other day, I was hearing a conversation between two people, one who had implemented a lot of automation in their HR department, and then the other person was asking her, वो सब ठीक है, automation, ये वो, all that is fine. But what is the benefit? How does it really help for you to have automation? How does it help the organization? How does it help you? And she had a very beautiful answer. Okay, what she said is that after we undertook this exercise of automating all our regular mundane processes, our people have become happier. Now, I was also curious. I asked, so how is that? She said that, because the repetitive tasks are not required, people spend less time in the office, they get to go home on time, their families are happier. So everything is beneficial. And therefore, an unexpected benefit is that their attrition has gone down and the happiness index has gone up for such people, for this organization. It was a very unexpected benefit. Many people think of automation as taking away people's jobs. On the contrary, it was to help people do meaningful things, taking away not job, but to take away all the dirty work, all the repetitive, boring work. That is what automation is able to do. Okay, so let me get back to my slides. We also looked at the demo. This is a good time for me to introduce you to Sachin Deshpande. Okay, this is how he looks. I'm just going to bring him up. So Sachin is a principal consultant at AutomationEdge, and I'd like to introduce you to Sachin. Sachin, if you can, switch on your video, unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Hello,
Sachin.
everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, Sachin. Sachin, can you just quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Sudhi. Basically, I'm Sachin Deshpande. I carry 25 years of experience in software industry, and I'm with Automation Edge since inception. So I have worked with the different department, different functions in Automation Edge, like engineering, then support, then professional services, then technical sales, pre-sales. So all these functions I have touched and I have worked with those functions. Some functions I have built myself. And then now I'm working as a principal solution consultant. And my major job here is to actually talk to customer, understand their pain areas, understand the processes which they are actually like manual processes, and then suggest them how exactly they can automate some of the processes. And mainly when automating the processes, it is really difficult to automate as is process, which is there, what they are doing, the manual one. So we also suggest them, my job is to suggest them the changes in that process. So re-engineer the process to suit the automation part and then take ahead the automation, make sure that the customer gets maximum benefit of all these automations. So that is my major task, major job in Automation Edge right now. So over to Sudhi.
Yes, thank you so much, Sachin. Sachin is the backbone of Automation Edge. He has been working with numerous clients, so and he has wide experience. Okay, so therefore I brought him in because there will be questions at the end, and if I struggle to answer any of the questions, Sachin is the man who's going to take them on. Okay, Sachin, I'm going to ask you one question right away, which is
Yeah,
that at times, do you have situations where customers say that they don't need automation?
very good question. Very good question. Initially, when we used to travel to different customer locations, the first answer which we used to get is we don't need any automation. Our all processes are automated. And such customers are with us for last 5 years. Some of them have already crossed more than 600 bots. Some of them have reached 1000 bots also. So by default, whenever you go to any customer, you talk to them,
Mhm.
the answer will be, I don't need any automation. All my systems are automated. And finally, when you actually get into into the discussions, when you get a chance to discuss with the ground level team, you understand that there are a lot of processes, those are repetitive, and you can automate those processes.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense, Sachin. And if I remember correctly, even in the Automation Edge HR department, it was
Yeah,
a similar situation. Initially, our
yeah,
department
absolutely.
was very reluctant. We thought that we have all the systems in place, but once we started discussing this with you and your team, you threw new light upon our processes, upon our situation, and here we are. So thank you so much for that,
Thank you.
Sachin. I'll go back to my PPT. People, I want to take a pause here. Okay. And what I would like to say to you is that in the next few minutes, okay, next 10 to 15 minutes, we are going to be talking about something very serious, something very important. And I want you to make a lot of notes. So far, the last 30-32 minutes has been more about what Automation Edge is, what I am, what Sachin does, and most importantly, how automation is implemented in our place. Now the focus is going to shift to you. So I would request you to be ready with your pen and paper or digital notes, whatever it is, and let us focus on how you can start automating in your organization. Okay, so enough of theory. Let's get into the action steps. I'm going to be sharing with you a very simple plan. Okay, a 5-step action plan. So the first is you need to be identifying candidate processes in your organization. So I'll share the 5 steps with you and then we'll go into action mode. So you need to identify what are the processes that can possibly be automated in your organization. And second is you then deep dive and finalize. There is a lot of thought that goes into which are the processes that need to be automated. So we deep dive and finalize. Then you implement the automation. That is where Automation Edge comes into the picture. We can help you with that. Finally, fourth is you reap the benefits of the automation. That is, you sit back and relax and watch the bot do all the work for you. And it doesn't stop here. You continue to do it. You continue to refine. You continue to optimize so that you get more and more juice out of the bots. Okay, so these are the 5 simple action steps. The first is identify candidate processes. Now, I have taken some sample, 8 processes which are very generic in nature, okay, which can be candidates. So let me bring it up for you. First is resource requisition. Second is the interview process. Third is pre-boarding. That is that is after the candidate has been selected and before he or she joins. The fourth is onboarding. Fifth is 90 days of cradle time. So what is cradle time? See, you probably know that just like a baby, which is newborn baby, which is most vulnerable for the first 3 months after being born. Similarly, it is very, very important for a new joinee to be handheld. Okay, we call it cradle time for 90 days. For 90 days, you take good care of the new joinee. Next is performance review. Performance review is a 6 monthly or an annual exercise in most organizations. Seventh is salary revision letters, usually an annual affair, and offboarding. Okay, offboarding is where you either terminate the person resigns or retires. There are different ways. Here's a question. I want you to go to the chat box and type in which of these processes do you think are relevant or are candidates for automation in your organization? Top of the mind. Just put in the numbers, type in 1 or 124 or 789, 785, whatever it is. Just go and type in whatever numbers are relevant to you. So this is an exercise that you're doing impulsively to identify which are the processes which can possibly be automated. Just go to the chat box and type in numbers. You can type 1, you can type 2, you can type 3, you can type multiples, whatever it is. Bring up that screen again. Sachin.
Yeah, Sudhi.
One question is how does one identify the processes which should be automated and which should not be automated? What is the criteria for this?
Yeah. So you have already covered few points in your presentation. First of all, the process should be repetitive. You should continuously use that process. For example, some of the processes are needed, say maybe for say once in a month. But if it is not time consuming, then there is no point in automating that. But at the same time, some of the processes are very small, but you are using those processes for say maybe 10 times a day. A small report to be sent, a small report to be sent to multiple stakeholders. That can be one of the example. So that those cases has to be repetitive. Second, there should be rule based. Okay. So AI, ML, etc. can be used, but in basic sense, they should be rule based. Okay. Repetitive, and they should have some impact on the like organization. Okay, there are some like cases wherein even if you don't do that, there is no harm in doing it or not doing it. So do not consider those type of cases. Then some of the cases are very complicated. So the complicated cases we should take at the end. Initially, we should try to find out simple cases and impactful cases. Okay, those should be repetitive. That is most important.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Sachin. That definitely helps us identify the candidate process. People, you have heard Sachin describe the criteria for us. Based on that, just identify your candidate processes. Okay, and once you have done that, then we go to the next step, which is to deep dive and finalize. Okay, deep dive and finalize. And over there, I'm going to offer a gift to you. So remember, right at the beginning, I had said that there is going to be a gift offer for you if you stay till the end. So here is the gift offer. Sachin and I, we will conduct a workshop. We will conduct a workshop for you and your team where you have identified the candidate processes in step 1, but the deep dive and finalization, we will do it with you. Okay. All you have to do is just go to the chat box and type type I. I means interested. So if you are interested, our team will note down your name, and later on after this session, our team will get connected with you and we will organize this deep dive session with you where Sachin and I, we will run you through the exercise on how you can finalize the processes. Just type I in the chat box if you're interested, and our team, by administration team, I request you to please make a note of all the people who have shown an interest. Okay, so this is a gift from us to you. It will take about 30 to 60 minutes, and this we are going to be doing it for free. Okay, so please make the most of this gift offer to you because it could change the trajectory of your HR department completely. I want you to take the benefit of this. Okay, and so these are the 5 steps. Identifying candidate processes. We did it as a sample exercise just now. Deep dive and finalize. Sachin and I, we can help you do that. Implementing the automation comes next. We will talk about it when we get into the deep dive session with you. That is a very technical part, and it will require a whole new level of discussion. Okay. Now, this is what I have for you so far. What I would like to know is if you have understood everything, if you've been there from the beginning, if you let me know what are the questions you have. Okay, and I'm going to seek Sachin's help over here. So let us know what are the questions you have based on whatever you have heard so far. Just go to the chat box and type in the questions. And if you want to speak about it, just raise your hand. Okay. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to share some questions. Okay. This is not an action plan. Actually, these are some of the questions that people generally ask us. So I'm going to pick some FAQs and I'm going to answer them for you. In the meantime, you guys can go ahead and ask your questions in the chat box. So the first question that people generally ask us is, where do we start the automation journey? How do we even start? Now, all this is fine, but shuru kahan se karna hai? So for that, we have already made the suggestion. The first step is for you to attend a session like this. And the second step is for you to, engage with us for that free gift that we have offered you. That is a deep dive session with Sachin and I. Okay. This is how you start. Okay. The second question which we generally get is, automation and everything is all fine, but what if there is a change to the processes? Okay, how do we handle that? And I'll tell you something, we are going through that ourselves in our own organization. So we have changed some of our systems, some of our processes, and therefore the automation has to be tweaked, and it can be done. That is where our technology team comes in, and they equip us on making those changes. Okay. And the third question, this is very important, is we get asked what happens to confidential data. So there is confidential data, and if a robot starts running, will the confidentiality be compromised? The answer is definitely no. Okay. However, since it's a technical question, I'm going to ask Sachin to take this. Okay. Sachin, one of the questions that we get asked always is, how do you ensure that the confidentiality of data, and especially HR data, is very sensitive? How is that not compromised? Can you just answer that for us from a technical point of view?
Yeah, so first of all, there are two ways to do the automation, which we offer basically. First is the on-prem automation. If the automation edge product itself is deployed in the on-prem, meaning your premise, there is no question of sending data outside your organization. So the data is not getting compromised. On top of it, the sensitive data is getting encrypted in databases, and then only it is getting stored in databases. So your data is not visible to anybody if he doesn't have the credentials, or even if the database is visible to somebody, they will not be able to decrypt the data. And if we are talking about the cloud-based implementation, yes, in cloud-based implementation, make sure that you are not sharing your data on cloud. If you are sharing the data on cloud, again, as I told earlier, it is encrypted. So there is no compromise with your data at all.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So that is very relieving, Sachin, because it's going to be one of the critical points, one of the key questions that people have before they make the decision whether to embrace automation or not. Another question, very sensitive, Sachin, probably the most sensitive, is, because of automation, will people lose jobs? What is your answer to that?
Yeah, my answer is pretty simple. In last 5 years, whatever automation personally I have done, I have not seen that people are losing the job. Rather,
Okay.
the way you have exactly said, it is exactly the same. Their life has become simpler. I can take the example of, say, maybe my first customer, first big customer, ICICI Lombard directly. Okay. So during the say month end or quarter end, the complete team, a team of say 20-25 people, they used to sit till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the evening. Daily also they couldn't able to leave their office till 9-10 o'clock, because they are actually registering the policies. Whatever policies coming from the field, they are registering it. Okay, and they used to take the last policy at 9 o'clock in the evening, because we generally, when we go home after that, we discuss about the policy and we take policy in the evening itself. So those people used to take those policies at 9 o'clock in the evening, process them. They need to keep on processing something, or whatever the internal processes are, and they used to leave office after 10-11 in the evening. That has reduced now. So it's like
Okay.
they can take the policies even at 9 o'clock. That's not a problem. But they don't need to attend anything. It is completely automated. They can the agents can send a detail and bot can process that detail. They all these are like completely rule-based job. So those
Okay.
jobs are automated and now they are free. And these people used to have more than say 10 years of experience in insurance industry. So they were actually not utilizing their knowledge properly. And now
True.
those
True.
people are, and the advantage, what I can say, like we are not taking their jobs. It's like whenever these people are switching the companies, they're referring us to their new companies
Yes. Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if
That's the
we are
best
snatching
compliment
their
you can
job, they
get.
will never refer us, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would add, wonderful Sachin, thanks for the elaboration, and that is also a big relief. And we can also speak for Automation Edge itself that in our HR department we've never, or even in the other departments where we've implemented automation, we've never had to let go people. It just made life simple, but it didn't make anyone redundant. So that is a
Absolutely.
worry
Absolutely.
which is not at all going to be relevant in because of automation. Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for that, Sachin. People, those are the typical questions that we get from audience, questions that we get from our clients. If there are any other questions that you have, you can ask now. Or if there are sensitive questions which you don't want to ask in a forum like this, just just reach out to us and we will be there for you. Okay. And for those of you who have typed I in the chat box, that is who are interested to have that deep dive and finalization session or workshop, whatever we want to call it, with Sachin and I, our team will get in touch with you and we will do the work with you. Okay. We will collaborate with you. So that is all we have for this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining in. It has been a great pleasure conducting the session with you. Thank you very much for our team, which has put together all this session. I might just be the face that you see and Sachin, but there are others who have helped us bring this to you. And if you have any suggestions, if you have any concerns, any ideas about how this session can be made better, how automation can be implemented in your organization, please reach out to us and we will be very, very glad to serve you. On that note, have a great week ahead. Let's stay connected. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Sudhindra,
Yeah.
hi, my name
Yes,
is
Vipul,
Vipul.
you have something to say?
Yes, I have couple of questions. Can
Yes,
I
Vipul.
can
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ask those questions right now or maybe later
Yeah,
on?
yeah, absolutely. I thought I didn't see anyone in the chat, so I thought that there are no questions. But I take back my goodbye. We can definitely address your questions. So Sachin and I, we are here for you. Go ahead,
All right,
Vipul.
thank you. So my first question is related to this automation process. The first question is there any suggested template, that we can use for our use cases? Basically, the process that we want to automate.
Sachin, you want to answer that? How do we
Yeah.
do it for any customer at the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a template. In that template, you have to answer a few questions, okay, about your own process, and that template will suggest whether that process is automatable or not. Okay, or you should go for the automation or not. So as the template is there, we can share it with you. That's not a problem.
Okay, so you have that template and you can share it with us. And
Yeah.
my second question is related to identifying the process that needs to be automated. You have
Right.
already explained it very well. That is, you have to identify the repetitive task. It should be rule based. Simple processes should be, identified first and, automated first, and complicated processes should be automated later. Would you like to add anything more to it?
Uh, Basically, like what? Because what we have done is like what I have done is like I have taken very simple example. Okay. Otherwise, if I get into the details, it's like even if like a chatbot, we Automation Edge has a chatbot. Okay. So that in that chatbot, if employee asks few questions, so maybe some documentation is needed, or if their question can be solved using any document, that document can be sent to the employee or can be shown in the chatbot itself. So that is one of the use case. But in this use case, you have to use the ML part, the machine learning part, because an employee can discuss or employee can chat in its own natural language. And then you need to implement the NLP part. And from NLP, you can understand what employee is trying to ask, and accordingly you can design your questions or the bot's questions, and bot can keep on getting information from the employee and can keep on suggesting the things. For example, the bot can provide documentation, or if it is some query, for example, what is my leave balance, then bot can go to HRMS system, get the leave balance, and can show it to customer, show it to your employee. So this is absolutely possible. So these are the next step of processes, like say ML or AI can be used. But initially, when you start with the automation, I always suggest start small and impactful. So it should have a good impact. For example, in HDFC Bank, we have implemented employee offboarding process first. The reason is pretty simple. When an employee leaves banks, after that, the in general the bank gives special rates for special interest rates for loan and FDs to those employees. So its own employees. Those rates needs to be adjusted as soon as the employee leaves the bank. Okay. So if you don't do that, then it's a financial impact on the bank. So what we have done is we have automated the process, and those rates are immediately getting reflected in the accounts of their employees. So this
Right.
is how it should be an impactful process. At the same time, it should be simple process to start with. And the low hanging fruits are lot of MIS reports which you need to process every day. And those reports are again rule based and can be automated in a simple manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to connect with you guys, whenever it's
Yeah,
possible.
Yeah.
absolutely, Vipul. In fact, I saw that you've mentioned it in the chat box as well. I saw the eye in the chat box. So our team will reach out to you, and we will have a scheduled session.
All right.
Definitely. It will be
Thank
wonderful
you.
to talk to you. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? I'll give you another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. That's about it. Thank you once again. See you around. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Shruti.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Sachin, sir.
Thank you so much, Sudhi. Really interesting session.